Firstly, congratulations on your film and premiere tonight. I hope it goes well. And I guess my first question would be, how do you sink deeper into the struggles of your characters when translating from script to screen?
Well, I think the first thing you do is ask yourself, why am I writing these characters and what am I trying to say? And I think through my characters, I wanted this film to be this kind of have these quite like three-dimensional characters where you could tell a story through their gaze or through their silence or through their flaws. And I wanted to create these three-dimensional flawed characters that are just so human and full of love and full of mistakes as well. And I think I was just so obsessed with both, especially the mom and the son. And I wanted to create this kind of dynamic between them that is different. And I think when for me I started writing this, I said, how am I going to make this mom indulge into this boy's world through her denial? And I think that was the challenge writing this.
I see. And speaking about the struggles, the main characters, Nadia and Basil, I find their relationship quite interesting in how, I guess, vague it feels at times, yet it feels so lived in, because I'm an eldest son as well, and there's this like having a thorny kind of complicated relationship with your parent or your mother when it comes to your own personal struggles that you're unable to express. Does that come from a place of experience or is that a place of research? How did you come about that kind of dynamic that you wanted to explore?
Well, it is based on a personal experience, but I'm protecting the privacy of this person. But it's someone very close to me, and I wanted to kind of it's a story that affected me anyways, and I wanted to kind of take out this pain in my own way, and I wanted to basically explore how far I can go. Also outside the comfort zone, outside a safe, I would say, relationship, and what people would expect. I wanted to basically take a sort of an unpredictable, different route between the mother and the son.
How did you approach Clara personally? Because I think she's a fantastic actress and her performance in this is incredible. Like, did you have her already in mind, or how's the process like?
Well, it was a kind of a long casting process. I was looking for many options, and then because Clara has been kind of she had kids and stuff, so until she came back with a Palestinian film called Thank You for Backing With Us, and then my producer sent me a list of casting suggestions, and I said, okay, let's talk, and I zoomed with her, and from the first meeting I just knew it was her, and she's so beautiful, and like I just thought, my gosh, those eyes at night, and like that night sequence I have, I just thought to myself, I imagined her, and I said, how would she look? And I said to myself, she's the right fit, and I already knew she was talented, I already knew she had the experience, so I was working with like a very professional actress, and it was such a privilege working with her.
I think you did a fantastic job choosing her. Yeah. And I found it interesting that your cinematographer Farouk as well, that both Clara and Farouk, they worked with Kaufa Benhania for different films. So did you watch her previous films in deciding your selection process, and how is it like to you, I guess, that kind of coincidental connection between the two to collaborate on your film?
Yeah, I did take a look at, I saw Four Daughters in Sarajevo Film Festival, but I didn't know back then that it was going to be Farouk. So it's my producer suggested him to me, and we had a talk. And Farouk is still upcoming. He's an upcoming cinematographer. He's my age group. He's very young.
Very talented.
Very talented. Very smart. And when we talked and he showed me the mood board, I said to myself, okay, it's him. It's him. Because he knew, without me telling him, that I wanted to shoot on two different aspect ratios. And that I'm going to make a switch
And I want to talk about the aspect ratio. I found that very interesting. Why exactly did you go for the two different ones? And I noticed with the visual language, it felt very like a mixture of serenity, but also there's a bit of haunting aspects to it. And I guess that comes from the endless hole or the endless void of depression and mental health, where we don't know how far it goes, and yet we try to claw in and find some light to reclaim our own identity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, first of all, the two aspect ratios, it came through the writing. I knew I wanted to open the frame at one point. I was unable to imagine this film on a cinema scope. I could not imagine, because you're with the mother all the time, and for me, when you're in Nadia's head, it's impossible to be outside of 4/3. I just saw her in this box, in this denial, in this kind of ostracized from society, and I wanted to kind of understand this sort of, where am I going visually as well? Because when you're writing, you have to think as well visually, where are you going with this film? So when we reached the whole chicken sequence, I said to myself, okay, this is where the frame should open. And Farouk told me, I mean, this was also the kind of the right moment to kind of to kind of open the frame. He also inspired me as well, because when they look at each other, we also break the fourth wall. So there's a lot of risks that we take artistically in the film that we knew in the editing, maybe it won't work, maybe it's going to be risky, but we took the risk.
Paid off.
Yeah, anyway, so it was paid off, and I just felt like that moment when she does the buck to him, I said to myself, I mean, Farouk told me, Zain, this is going to be your moment, and me and him have this bet that, oh no, maybe it's going to be a bit before, maybe when they're clucking or when they're playing, and he said, no, I think it's going to be when she looks at him, and he was right. So in the editing, also my editor was a huge factor. He's super talented. My sound designer as well, my creative producers. It takes a village to make a beautiful film, and I just had all these amazing talented people with me. So I always praise my team, and I always praise the producers who made this film out of nothing. So it was really
And when you say the right moment, I want to know, as an artist, do you go by your gut instinct, your initial reaction? How do you determine what is the right moment?
Yeah, it's exactly, you said it. I think it's instinct. Directing is really about the gut, and it's a feeling. It's either you feel it or you don't. And when you're behind the monitor, it's like when you're directing the actor, you're taking out the emotions from them. And I just knew the exact moments where you either feel it or you don't. And my cast never saw the monitor. They never saw how they were acting, so they were always hesitant. Like Muhammad, the boy, he would always tell me, I feel like I'm the same, from the beginning to the end. And I'm like, no, don't worry. I mean, you're doing everything. He said, but I feel like my face is not moving. And I told him, exactly, because I think acting is about not showing, and it's about being so subtle, and it's about the eyes. It's all about
Reaction.
the eyes. It's truly a huge. I was lucky to have such huge talents with me. So I guess it's about your gut feeling. It's about it's about the emotion, and when you're doing something so close to home, so close to the heart, you just know. Yeah.
I see. And then, because I imagine, because it's your debut film, and when you're going through the many cuts to decide on what is the right one for you, and when you're, I guess, like an actor, they often say that they don't like to watch their own films out of some self-consciousness choice. How do you feel as a director when you're having to rewatch your own work constantly trying to figure out what works or not? I imagine there's a bit of perfectionism at play, and also the worry that you don't want to overthink it as well. How do you figure it out in your own headspace?
You mean watching it after it's done?
As in going through the cuts and deciding what is right for you, but also that internal feeling of I'm watching this constantly, and that can weigh you down a bit as well,
Yeah, I mean, that's all. So you're talking about the editing phase?
Yeah.
Yeah, the editing was very challenging. I mean, luckily, again, Abdullah, my editor, is extremely talented, and he was really my other half in this film. He knew what I wanted, and we knew each other, me and him, for a long time. He also worked on my short. So we already kind of had a relationship. So when we were in the editing room for like 6 weeks, which is pretty fast for a feature, I kind of knew what I wanted, he knew what I wanted, and we basically started thinking outside the script. So we didn't edit on the script, we edited on like, this film is very emotional, right? So you want to build the emotion, start like kind of, it starts off a slow burn, and then the film kind of picks up like a crescendo, right? It wasn't working for a while, and then we had to kind of reshuffle some stuff. So it's like we're working out a puzzle. I did get frustrated at times, but the trick, I think, for me was that my editor would say, for me he was the guide in this, and he would say, let's stop, let's take a break for a week and come back. And we took distance. We would take a week off. Sometimes we'd take 3 days off, and we would come back because we had a deadline. We had to submit to festivals. It was very challenging, but I think we kind of knew that we would feel it, because editors are not so different than directors. They also work on instinct, and they know like, okay, now I cut here or I do this. They're magicians on their own. So I think it's a creative process, and then taking feedback as well from the producers, from the creative producers. So you have a lot of people that are giving you feedback as well.
And speaking about, for me, one of the most important topics about the film, I feel like family conversations where mental health is often sometimes kind of a taboo topic. I guess, why did you feel it was so important for your own story in your film to kind of reflect that sentiment and try to explore both the challenges and how to maybe overcome it, but also the concerns as well? Because speaking from experience as well, like mental health is definitely a taboo, and I feel like it's a common experience with brown families as well. So I don't know, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, the problem is in the Middle East, again, mental illness is still considered a taboo, especially with severe mental illnesses. Therapy is not taken seriously. People's mental health is a joke. They just say, be strong and move on. It's like kind of what the dad does to the boy in the film, and that's why
get a job and you'll be fine.
Their relationship is very distant in the movie, and I think that's why what I wanted to say in this film. Actually, people say this film is about mental illness, but for me, this film is an ode to motherhood. It's about this unstoppable love that this mom has for her son. It's the infinite love that this mom has for her son, and it's also very universal. I think it's a film that's going to connect with the whole world. It's not just local to Jordan, and I think everybody's going to relate. In South Asia, in North Africa, everywhere. So I wanted to kind of specify this and talk about how also nobody in the Arab world talked about this, because it's a risky subject. People are probably thinking, who wants to talk about such a difficult subject to portray in cinema, And I wanted to do this kind of psychological drama, thriller about this topic in a kind of non-predictable, radical way.
Did it feel therapeutic when you finished the film and being able to convey what you wanted to?
Very much so. Actually, like, the best compliment I've got so far from like important producers who read the script before, and what they tell me is the film is better than the script. And that is the best compliment you can get as an auteur filmmaker, is that I made something better than what I wrote. And that's the dream of every director. And I'm really, really so happy with my film. I'm usually somebody who's skeptical, and I don't like to go back and watch my work. But for the first time, I can say, wow, from my first feature, I'm just really proud of it. And I just go back to certain sequences and I say, wow, I can't believe this is what we pulled off, So.
Have you managed to watch the film with a public audience yet?
Yes.
How was that like?
Well, in Toronto, it was really an amazing experience. I was very emotional. I was crying. And people were like coming up to me saying, you know, I have this illness, and like, because the illness is schizoaffective disorder, which I never diagnosed. And this woman came up to me and my actor, Ahmed, and she told us, you know, I have this illness, and I just want to say thanks for making us look human. And thank you for humanizing us and not making us look like, you didn't like kind of stereotype us into a box. So thank you for that. And that for me brought me back to my intention and to my purpose. And I said to myself, this is why we make films. It's not to succeed and go to festivals and win awards and you know, get the best distribution, go to the Oscars. We make films to change lives, to change people, to touch people. I think I would say is the best sentence. And of course, a major inspiration for me is After Sun for Charlotte Wells. I love this movie so much. Yes. I broke down when I was watching it. Mommy, Zavier Dolan. I don't deny that these films, or we need to talk about Kevin Fernand Ramsey, these films really inspired me in my journey of writing. And I think filmmaking is so beautiful that it just keeps on evolving and evolving and evolving, especially modern cinema. And now, like us with the younger generation of filmmakers, I think it's time for us to kind of break the stereotype, especially from the Arab world. I don't know if I should share this with you, but like I really suffered in the finance. We suffered in financing this film because the answers we were getting, especially from Europe and specifically France, is that the film is not Jordanian enough.
Oh,
and I don't really know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
Does it mean that Clara is not in a veil? Does it mean that the man is not an asshole and a bad man? Does it mean that it's a progressive upper middle class family? I mean, what is it that you guys want from us this is the problem that we're facing as Arab filmmakers. And maybe it also happens, I guess, to probably Indian or Afghani or, you know, from that part of the region as well. I'm sure they suffer the same, is that we are struggling to show the West that we can make stories that are agenda free, that are slogan free, that are different, that are human, you know?
Universal,
like Charlotte Wells. Her film is very universal, though it's very personal. It's about her dad's suicide. But she made something so human that every person in the world can connect to it. But it's her personal story. And I said to myself, I mean, I want to do the After Sun of the Middle East. I'm not saying maybe I'm not as good maybe as Charlotte Wells, but I just wanted to do something different and to do about a subject that lives with me. And this subject lives with me. I've lived with this subject, and I wanted to make this film because of that, not because I want to please an audience or do a trend or get an extra 100,000 euros from Europe, because I'm making a film about, a trendy subject that pleases the West. And this is not what I wanted to do. And I think we fail as directors and as visionary artists to kind of please the West with ideas that make us look exotic to them, and that's something that I didn't want to do, and I suffered with it, and I'm still suffering with it. But I'm grateful, like that the BFI, you know, took this film on and put us in the competition as well, which is such a privilege, you know, such a strong lineup. So I'm really honored to be here.
May I ask, are you a mother?
Am I a mother? No, not yet.
I ask because, of course, this film is about motherhood as well. And when you mentioned After Sun, that was also deals with parenthood. And Charlotte, she speaks from a place of speaking about her own parent.
Yeah.
So I guess why were you so drawn to After Sun in particular? And was there anything about it that you felt that it really spoke to your own core values?
For sure, because I mean, she's also speaking about mental illness, right? She's speaking about an undiagnosed depressed father.
Yeah.
And for me, that was what hit me the most. And of course, her grief of losing her parents to suicide in the middle of a vacation. It's tragic. It's a tragic film. But she had something in particular that was so magical in the film. And it wasn't just, you leave with you leave the cinema with the tenderness. And when I saw the film, I left with this tenderness, and I said to myself, I was in the middle of writing Sync, and I said to myself, that's what people need to live with. They need to live with tenderness, not with heaviness, but rather to live with a tender feeling saying, love is the answer, peace is the answer, surrendering is the answer. And I think Charlotte does that so beautifully in her film. And I said to myself, I have so much in common with this director. I wish I can find her. I wish I can talk to her, you know? Like, we have so much in common that, of course, like, her talent is unwavering. But, like, I said to myself, I want to do this. And it's going to be so risky in the Arab world. It's going to be such a big risk. But thankfully, my producer, my co-producers, everybody, they just read the script and they said, we're on board. You know, we're on board. We don't care. We don't have money, we'll find the money, you know. We don't have like a European co-production. Europe doesn't want to come on board because it's not Jordanian enough for them. We'll do it regionally. We'll finance it from the Middle East itself. Let's do it. And we did it.
Amazing.
And it's the first Arab movie that tackles this very strong theme that is, again, a risky subject, maybe to the market as well, I don't know. But I wanted to do something universal and not, you know, like showing just just focusing on the exotic side of Jordan. Or I could have made a different film, but then it would have been my film. It would have been a film that I made to the funders to get some money, and that's not who I am. I just couldn't do that.
Amazing. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Zach.
And I really appreciate not just the honesty, but the film comes from a place of honesty, which is so important for me because, as you said, Western media or Western civilization as well, is just truth is often censored, and from the Middle East as well, like the voices are often kind of ignored or overlooked.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Zach. Thank you so much.